Before the world knew his name, he was just a boy watching his father, a boy standing in the shadow of greatness. This story does not begin with conquest. It begins with pressure, with expectation, with a question that followed him from childhood. Can I be greater than my father? Stay with me because this question shaped everything that came next. Alexander was born in Macedonia in 356 BC. His father was King Philip II, a powerful warrior and ruler. People feared Philip. They respected him. Alexander saw this every day. From a young age, he understood one thing clearly. To be noticed, he had to be extraordinary. Being normal was not an option. A strong thought grew inside him. I must be remembered. Alexander was intelligent and emotional. He listened carefully. He watched how power worked. He saw how people obeyed strength. At the same time, he felt restless. Macedonia felt too small. His dreams were too big. Stories about heroes and gods filled his mind. He did not want a quiet life. He wanted glory. His relationship with his father was difficult. Philip was strong, confident, and demanding. Alexander admired him but also competed with him. Every victory of his father felt like a challenge. Every success raised the bar higher. Alexander learned early that love and approval were not given easily. They had to be earned. Even as a boy, Alexander showed signs of leadership. He was brave, sometimes reckless. He believed destiny had chosen him. When others hesitated, he stepped forward. When others doubted, he believed. This belief did not come from proof. It came from hunger. Hunger to be great. Hunger to rise above his shadow. At this stage, Alexander had no army, no empire, only a powerful name behind him and a powerful fire inside him. The boy was still learning, still watching, but history was already forming around him. The shadow did not disappear. It grew, and Alexander was prepared for it in a very special way. His father did not want him to be only a warrior. He wanted him to be a ruler. So he chose the best teacher in the Greek world. His name was Aristotle. This decision changed Alexander forever. Aristotle was not a soldier. He was a philosopher. He taught Alexander how to think, not only how to fight. Alexander studied history, logic, science, and philosophy. He read stories about Greek heroes like Achilles. These stories stayed with him for life. He did not see himself as an ordinary king. He saw himself as part of something bigger. Alexander learned to speak clearly and think deeply. He asked questions. He argued. He wanted to understand the world. Aristotle taught him that Greek culture was special and important. This idea shaped Alexander's future actions. He later believed it was his mission to spread Greek culture across the world. This belief was not accidental. It was taught. At the same time, Alexander trained as a warrior. He learned to ride horses, use weapons, and lead men. One famous moment shows his character clearly. As a boy, he tamed a wild horse named Bacillus. Adults failed. Alexander succeeded by understanding the horse's fear. This moment became a symbol. He did not use force first. He used insight. By his teenage years, Alexander was already commanding troops. While his father fought wars, Alexander ruled Macedonia in his absence. He faced rebellions and defeated them quickly. This was not practice. This was real power. He was learning leadership through action. Alexander grew confident, maybe too confident. He believed education and courage made him different from others. He did not see limits. He saw paths. The boy in the shadow was becoming a man with a vision. At the end of this stage, Alexander was no longer just the son of a king. He was trained, tested, and ready. The world was still quiet, but not for long. Everything changed in one moment. There was no warning, no time to prepare. In 336 BC, King Philip II was assassinated. Alexander was only 20 years old. One day he was a prince. The next day he was king. Power did not arrive slowly. It fell into his hands all at once. Many people believed Alexander would fail. He was young. He was emotional. Powerful enemies watched closely. Greek cities wanted freedom. Old rivals wanted revenge. Some generals doubted him. The throne looked unstable. But Alexander did not hesitate. His first step was clear. He secured the army. The soldiers remembered his courage and discipline. They followed him. Then he turned to the cities of Greece. Some accepted him, others did not. When the city of Thebes rebelled in 335 BC, Alexander reacted fast and without mercy. The city was destroyed. This action shocked Greece. It sent a message. He was young, but he was not weak. After this, Greek resistance collapsed. Fear replaced doubt. Alexander was recognized as leader of the Greek League of Corinth. This gave him legal power to lead Greece against Persia just as his father had planned. But now the plan was his. The boy under the shadow was gone. The king stood alone. Alexander moved constantly. He did not stay in one place. He inspected troops. He spoke to soldiers directly. He rewarded loyalty and punished betrayal. Order returned quickly. Stability followed strength. Inside, Alexander felt confirmed. He believed destiny was moving with him. His education, his courage, his hunger, all of it led to this moment. He was no longer preparing for greatness. He was stepping into it, and the world was about to feel it. At 20 years old, Alexander controlled Macedonia and Greece. His position was secure. His army was ready. His ambition was burning. The road ahead was open, and he was about to walk a dot with Greece secured. Alexander did not wait. In 334 BC, he crossed into Asia with his army. In front of him stood the Persian Empire, the largest and richest power of the time. Many believed this campaign was impossible. Persia had more soldiers, more land, and more resources. Alexander had something else: speed, confidence, and belief. A strong idea guided him. I move forward, not back. The first major battle came at the Granicus River. Persian forces waited on the other side. The risk was high. Alexander attacked anyway. He led from the front, riding into danger with his soldiers. The victory was fast and decisive. This battle set the tone. Alexander was not a distant king. He fought beside his men. This built deep loyalty. Victories continued. In 333 BC, Alexander faced the Persian king Darius III at the Battle of Issus. The Persian army was larger but poorly organized. Alexander attacked the center, forcing Darius to flee. This moment changed everything. The image of the Persian king running became a symbol. Persia looked weak. Alexander looked unstoppable. As he moved south, cities opened their gates. Some resisted and paid the price. Others welcomed him as a liberator. In Egypt, Alexander was greeted as a hero. He founded a new city and named it Alexandria. It would later become one of the greatest centers of culture and learning in the ancient world. Here Alexander was declared a god by local tradition. This affected him deeply. The final blow came in 331 BC at the Battle of Gaugamela. Once again, Alexander faced Darius. Once again, he won through speed and strategy. After this victory, the Persian Empire collapsed. Capitals fell. Treasures were taken. The world Alexander knew was no longer the same. At this stage, Alexander had achieved what no one before him had done. He had conquered the greatest empire on earth. His soldiers believed he was chosen by destiny. Stories about him spread everywhere. The boy with the shadow had become a living legend. But the story was not finished. Success was pushing him further and the cost was about to rise. Victory changed Alexander, but not in the way people expected. The world now lay open before him. Yet he did not stop. He could have ruled what he had conquered. He could have returned home as the greatest king in history. But Alexander kept moving east. His ambition had no clear end. A dangerous thought followed him. There is always more to conquer. The army grew tired. Soldiers had been fighting for years. They were far from home. Many wanted to stop. Alexander did not listen. He believed rest was weakness. Distance did not scare him. Loss did not slow him down. One by one, the men who knew him best began to disappear. Friends died in battle. Others died from exhaustion or illness. Each loss made him harder, less patient, more isolated. Alexander also changed in how he ruled. He adopted Persian customs and demanded more loyalty. Some of his generals felt confused and betrayed. They no longer recognized the man they once followed. Tension grew inside the army. Trust weakened. Power created distance. As the campaign reached India, the limits became clear. The land was unfamiliar. The battles were brutal. The weather was harsh. At the Hyphasis River, his soldiers refused to go further. For the first time, Alexander faced open resistance from his own army. He was angry. He felt betrayed. But he had no choice. He turned back. This moment marked a quiet defeat. Not on the battlefield, but inside. Alexander had conquered the world, yet he could not conquer exhaustion, distance, or human limits. His body was tired. His mind was restless. The cost of greatness was becoming impossible to ignore. Alexander never returned home as he imagined. In 323 BC in the city of Babylon, he suddenly became ill. He was only 32 years old. The strongest man in the world lay weak in bed. The conqueror who never stopped could no longer move forward. After days of sickness, Alexander the Great died. The cause is still debated, but the result was clear. The world lost its most powerful ruler. There was one final problem. Alexander left no clear successor, no son ready to rule, no plan strong enough to hold the empire together. His generals argued, alliances broke, wars followed. The empire he built with speed and force began to fall apart.